Lo, this only have I found, that God hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. A lot of things that I talk about on these messages is from conversations that I have, or just things that I notice. And I was talking to someone, and I believe she's a sister in the faith. She's an elder in the faith. And so I'm kind of going to be careful in some of the things I'm going to say here, because I don't want to disrespect. But I will say here at the beginning, I don't believe that older age always equals greater wisdom. In some ways it does. You have more experience. You've seen a lot of stuff. You've gone through things. You've heard a lot of other people counsel you in whatever way. But sometimes being older can mean that you're really entrenched in what the system or the world, or long story short, the devil is doing. And I think this is one of those cases. And specifically what I'm talking about is medicine. And what we were talking about me. I had to go to the doctor for something. And I have to keep going to this doctor for an issue that I have. And maybe I'll talk about that some other time, but that's not really important, all those details. The point I'm making here is I have to keep visiting this doctor, and I have to keep getting treatments, and he needs to check on me and see my progress or regression or whatever it is. And he's got to give me prescriptions and medicines. As I've said, and many other people have said, they call it a doctor's practice because he's practicing on you. They're practicing on you. They don't really know the effects that some of these quote unquote medicines, because some of these are not medicines. They're not real medicine. They're just, I would call them potions in some cases. They're just chemicals that affect you in this way or that. And they may have some benefit, but as everybody knows, what they call medicine in our time, they're going to have side effects. Everybody knows that. Everybody acknowledges that and kind of accepts that. And so I have to go to this doctor, get his potions. They have some good effect on what's going on with me. And they also have some side effects. And what I and this elder sister were talking about was, I asked this doctor when it was first diagnosed. I was first diagnosed several years ago. You know, I was sick enough to be in the hospital for almost a week. And I almost never get sick. I eat very well and I have for a long time. I exercise. Most people will look at me and think, rightly so, that I'm a fit person, take care of myself. But this had nothing to do with that. It had nothing to do with diet. My diet is very good. And I asked this doctor on one of my first visits to him after I got out of the hospital that a few years ago. I said, is there any natural remedies, basically? Are there any natural things that I can do that can help this condition? And he said, no, very quickly, almost before I finished asking the question. He's probably been asked that before. He said no very quickly. And as he said it, just the way he said it, I knew he was lying. He was just lying, bald-faced lie right to my face. I knew there was something other than this piece of paper that he was going to send to the pharmacy that I needed to go pick up the prescription. I knew there was something other than that was going to help me. And then we fast forward a few years to now, I have found some things that I would say stabilize what's going on in my body better than the quote unquote medicines that he and other doctors in that place would give me. It's better. And it was immediate effect. And once I learned about those things over time, I was a little bit angry. And I guess that's what I and the sister were talking about. She didn't think I should be angry because I said that, well, he just lied. He lied and he's been lying. And I understand that's his job. I understand all the things about they're going to get kickbacks from the medicine. There's a system where he has a kind of a partnership. Not just, I'm not picking on this doctor. I know there's a system. It's just a system, and it is of the devil. The devil runs all the systems of this world. So the system, the medical system of what they call big pharma, that is built to keep you in it. You're not supposed to get outside of it and use what they call natural remedies. You need to stay in their system, take their concoctions and injections and capsules, So the money's going to flow. And it's not even about just the money. It is about keeping you ill. It's about keeping you not feeling good. So you got to keep going back to them. These are drug dealers. These are legal drug dealers, are acceptable, socially acceptable, legally accepted drug dealers. And what the things I'm saying right now, a lot of people are aware of that. Some people are like me and they're trying to get away from it. But some people are in the system. They accept it fully and they know what I'm saying is true, but they're just going to throw their shoulders up and say, well, I mean, this is just what it is. You just need to trust the doctor, trust the science. They know more than you. They may know more about me in some things, but in a lot of ways, when you're programmed in that way, you've been taught that way. It's kind of like what we talk about seminary. People don't accept you as a pastor or a preacher or a minister of the gospel. They don't really accept you, I've noticed, unless you got that doctor in front of your name, unless you have that certificate hanging behind you, unless you're a 501c3 nonprofit government sanctioned church. They don't think you're legit. You got to be in the system. And it's the same thing with the medicine or what they call the medical industry or what have you. You're not to be outside that system, whether you're one of the doctors, the practitioners, or you're a patient. You got to be in there. And so I think this sister got a little bit upset with me because I called that doctor a liar. And her response in essence was, he can't tell you any natural remedies because that could come back on him. If you take a natural remedy that he suggests and then you get ill, you can go back and sue him. And I said, that's just part of the deception. So now the legal system has joined up with the big pharma, that all the systems are connected. So that you can, and I don't understand what she said is true. I already knew before she said that's true. They're connected. So he's protected in a way. He can't say anything. He got to keep you in the system. That's set up to throw an umbrella over him. But the bottom line of it is he still lied. He still lied right to my face and said there were no natural remedies. He could have just said, you can go search something out. There may be some things out there. I can't tell you yes or no, instead of saying there's nothing there. And I know a lot of people are going to roll their eyes at that because you're programmed by the system. You're programmed to stay in it. You're programmed to trust the science. I don't understand what people will say. You got to believe the science. You got to trust the science. At the same time, they'll say it's not religion. And I say science is religion. I've been saying that for years. Other people other than me have said this. Science is just the biggest religion out here. And it's the one religion you really can't touch. You can kick Bible believing Christianity around like a soccer ball all day and everybody will kind of pat you on the back for it, if you want to be real. Or any other religion, really. But they don't really mess with other quote unquote religions. They only really want to destroy Bible honoring Christianity. That's the religion they hate. But science is the religion you can't touch. So I understood why this sister and other people, when I talk like this, most of them, some of them are nodding their head when I talk like this. But most people are going to get angry and going to call me some kind of idiot because I talk like that. But I don't know who the real fool is here because the programming is just that deep. I understand I can't get through to most people. And I don't understand why you're going to say this is not religion when I can't touch it. But science is supposed to be about observation, having a theory, observations, getting results, and then coming up with some kind of conclusion. But yet I can't question the conclusion. But then again, beyond that, you're going to have another conclusion tomorrow or next week or next year or 100 years from now. That doesn't make sense. No, you got to be in the system. You got to accept whatever's going on, even though it's going to change tomorrow. Man has sought out many inventions. That's what these quote unquote medicines or potions or concoctions come from. There is something to some of these translations or ancient languages sometimes. Sometimes they do have some truth. You can get something from that. And I know that pharmaceutical is really about witchcraft, changing something on a spiritual level. It's about opening doors that you can't see with your physical eyes. Here's something else that's funny is that what they call natural remedies, because some people will say, oh, these natural remedies, there's been a movement lately, and people are figuring out things. And I kind of laugh when people talk like that. They act like it's a new thing. Like the medicine was there, as I say, quote unquote medicine from the doctors and big pharma, the pills and all that. That's been there in effect for a while now, longer than I've been alive. And now people are starting to try to get away from that. They're starting to see some of the things that I'm talking about right now. So they're trying to get away from that and get into herbal kind of remedies, leaves, things you can find out in the forest, roots. And that was the way it was supposed to be. That's the way it was originally. And then we got into the injections and the pills and the capsules and these kind of things. So now people are trying to turn it back to the original way of treating people. And they're acting like it's a new thing. Oh, wow, look at this thing that's happening where people are figuring out that you can go out in the forest and pick these vines and boil them and grind them up, and then it cures something. That's old. But people at the same time, they'll laugh at old things. They want to get rid of old stuff and be in the new. The new stuff is the caps and the injections. Isn't that strange how people think? It is very strange. It's not really strange. It's just a spiritual blindness. It's a deception. You're supposed to trust the religion of science, the priests or the doctors. I guess the nuns or the nurses. I don't know how you want to draw that out. But that's what we've got going on here. Now, I was looking at Luke chapter 8. I know there's another account of this in one of the other gospels. It might be Mark. Can't remember right now. But I know in Luke chapter 8, Jesus had the woman with the issue of blood, and she went and touched his garment. We all know about that. Well, most of us who know anything about the Bible, we know about that account. But right there, it says she spent all her living upon physicians. What kind of physicians were these? They couldn't cure. And I know really she was there so Jesus could show that he could and was going to heal her. That's the ultimate reason that she was there. Or the reason that she had the issue of blood. Whatever that was. It doesn't really go into detail. And it's really not important. She was there as an example for us right now. Or up till now. But she had all these doctors trying to cure her. I think that's a picture of what's going on now. You're spending all these monies trying to get cured, trying to get help for some kind of illness that you got or your family member has. And the doctors can't really do anything for you except maintain the condition, maybe. But they can't really cure it. Only Jesus can do that. Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. Her faith made her whole. God doesn't need medicine. And as I heard one brother say, and I agree with him, he was preaching and he said, God doesn't need it. He does use means. He does use doctors sometimes. He does use their medicine sometimes. He does use worldly means sometimes. I understand that. But God doesn't absolutely need that. It's amazing that he doesn't need it. I'm glad that he doesn't need us necessarily. But I understand he does use us. I understand he does use hospitals and those kind of, the hospital, everyone for them and the ambulance and emergency workers. I probably would have died before I got to the hospital that night a few years ago. I understand that. I'm not picking on doctors per se. I'm not picking on the medical system overall as a blanket toss. But I understand why they're there. I understand why they are there. This is part of a satanic system to keep you running on its wheel and paying out money and never really being healed. It's kind of like what I was talking about the police. And I keep alluding to it lately, I think. It's about the police. I know why the police are here. I'm not against the police, but I'm not their friends either because I know why they're here. They're here because men and women are sinful and we can't govern ourselves. We'll destroy each other without that hedge, without that presence of the law enforcement. I'm just sitting here talking about the Bible. I just taking a space in my days and just talking about the Bible. I don't set myself up as some great preacher or teacher or Bible student. This is just my time with the Lord, and hopefully he's showing me things as I'm talking. He brings a lot of things to my mind just during the day. I try to stay in the Bible a lot, and hopefully this will be of some benefit to somebody out there. It's definitely a benefit to me to just talk about and consider the word. Look at Luke chapter 2, Joseph and Mary. They couldn't find the younger Jesus. I guess he's a preteen. And they went back to find him. We don't need all the details of this account because I think you can go search it out. But Luke chapter 2, they find Jesus in a temple. Remember, I don't think he's a teenager yet at this point, but he already has this great wisdom from the Lord, of course. They found him in a temple sitting in the midst of the doctors, both hearing them and asking them questions. I wonder what questions that the young Jesus was asking these doctors. I really am curious about that. I'm going to find out one day. I'm sure of that. What was he asking them? Was it just about scripture, or was it about their practices? Because it said they were confused or amazed at the things he was saying. Again, was he just talking about the word of God? I'm sure that was the main gist of it. I'll take something from Proverbs 17. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine. Just trusting in the Lord, leaning on him, not on my own understanding, just taking joy in any blessings that I have today, just that I can walk around and look around and see things, and even in the challenges that I have every day, all the stress that the world tries to throw at you, being in all these wicked systems of finances and medicine and paperwork, all that stuff is going on. It's a lot to take in. Family challenges, job challenges, just driving around and reckless drivers jumping out in front of you, that kind of stuff. That stuff can kind of eat you up, just nibble at you. But I'm still just going to take the blessings. I'm going to try to have that merry heart. I'm just going to lay it at the feet of the Lord. That's a medicine for me. I told one brother that it was kind of like I play dumb. I call it playing dumb sometimes. I understand that there's a lot of stresses and challenges in this life, but I just kind of walk around and people sometimes look at me like, why you seem like you're kind of smiling all the time? It's not that I'm happy. I guess it's more of a contentment. It's more of, this is just right now. Yesterday's gone and I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I might not even be here. I'm just going to enjoy this moment. That's a medicine for me. But to shrink it back down to what the medical system of the 21st century has got going on, and the way it kind of keeps you jumping around, not curing anything. I remember a wicked comedian that I used to like, and this is going back some years now, a few decades. And some people are already going to know the routine that I'm talking about. But he was saying in the routine in the late 90s, I think, talking about they're not going to cure cancer. They need that to make the money. And it's a little bit deeper than that. It's not just about the money again. It's about keeping you sick and stressed out. It's about making you die. Because I believe, as others do, we were meant to live hundreds of years. But the way the soil, the air, the water, the food, the stresses of life, the systems that we're in, it all weighs on us. So we live less than 100 years. And this comedian was talking about that in the terms of cancer, saying they need the cancer there. They could cure cancer, but they would rather treat it. The money is in the treatment. I think this is the way he put it. There's a lot of truth to that. But again, it's much deeper than that. I think the devil is so evil that you can't even process it. I think he wants to hurt us in so many ways, and God kind of holds him back from it. That if we really knew the things that were going on around us, the ways that Satan's workers want to hurt us, it would probably drive us insane. And I think it's beginning to do that. I think it's beginning to show itself, actually. I think it's beginning to show itself from people that we talk about mental health, talking about another kind of medicine or health. People are starting to lose their minds. Literally. Something is going on with people. But right now I'm talking about a physical kind of health. But really it's all connected. Mental, physical, spiritual. Everybody's meant to be sick in some way. You're meant to be spiritually sick, mentally sick, and physically sick. That's what Satan wants. You can take it all the way back to Genesis 3, because I got to get out of here right now, with Eve. Remember, in the New Testament, it says the man was not deceived, but the woman was. It's talking about Adam and Eve. For Adam, everything is cool, pretty much. Hey, we're in a perfect place, and I got this perfect woman here, perfect environment, but something wasn't right with Eve, obviously, and the snake, the serpent, the devil, or what will become the devil, it or he could perceive that. That's why it goes to her. Hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree in the garden, every tree of the garden? And the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God hath said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. And then you see right there, the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. We'll stop right there. She's making a kind of a scientific discovery right there. She's deciding what a good medicine is. She didn't trust God's version of what was going to make her well or healthy. She took the devil's word for it. Well, actually, the devil didn't make her do anything, did he? He just suggested something and she took it. She made her own scientific observation. That's what she did. She made her own medicine, but the medicine just made her sick. And then Adam took and ate it. Now he's sick. Now we're all sick. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers.